All right, we're
All
back.
right,
We're here. We're
let's
live and
go.
we're working in action. Uh, the first question I'm gonna have for you is, who are you, and what do you do for a living?
So my name is Hansel. I'm the head coach here and owner of Warriors Nation MMA. I've been starting this since 2020 during the pandemic. We've been here at this location in Brooklyn, Dumbo, about 3 years coming up in June, and pretty much, yeah, we've been here ever since, rocking it and going and showing people some great assets of martial arts.
Heck yeah, nice. The next question I'm gonna have is, what inspired you to choose this career path?
So I myself was uh, trying to make it myself to the UFC. I fell in love with it when I first saw DMX movie with Tito Ortiz in it. I forgot what the name was the movie, but pretty much I fell in love with the whole idea of mixed martial arts and been a fan of it. So try to pursue that career into it. And as pursuing that career, I ended up more falling in love with coaching and getting on the side of like helping others, especially when times got rough when it came to being able to provide and be an adult and no
Yeah,
longer be like, yeah, I can do this, on my own, and think that the world is gonna give me things on my lap. But so as times got harder, I just decided to coach people and fell in love with the art of coaching and helping others and sacrificing kind of like my own path to be able to help others.
heck yeah. And that time of moment when you say you had to realize being an adult and responsibilities came, what motivated you to keep going forward as far as like coaching or maybe pursuing your dream of being in the UMC or your
I
goals?
think it's just understanding that maybe, especially in this lifetime, I may have had to learn a lesson that sacrificing myself for others is kind of like what I have to do, and not in the self of unselfish reasons. Is just for the purpose of, I think there's something bigger than me, and I think I find that in a lot of people, especially those that are committed in a way that they just need that help, that push. And sometimes around their circle, they don't have that. So maybe I come around and be able to showcase what they're made out of and be able to push them towards that goal. So I think that really helped me out in terms of understanding that it's just much bigger than me and more about other people.
Heck yeah. The next question I have for you, Hala, would be, when did you first decide to choose this, uh, pursue this profession?
Would it have to be after what? Uh, 2013, 2014, around there. That's right after, pretty much after my last fight, and I decided just like go and help people, continue the coaching. So yeah, almost close to 11 years ago, you would say.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You said after your last fight, that's pretty cool to hear. Sidebar, what was the preparation for that fight, if you don't mind me asking?
So I've remember losing one of my fights in MMA, in the sense of getting caught in a choke. That is funny. Ironically, I was catching people with, but I learned a couple things that day, that you must learn how to wrestle to become very successful in MMA. That should be one of your top priorities. And I always told
True.
myself, if I ever have a gym, wrestling is a key curriculum, and that's one thing that we have here, thanks to Coach Hassan, who's an amazing coach, and also the jiu-jitsu component of it. That you must learn the submissions and how to apply, how to escape out of these submissions. So it's
Yeah.
another thing. Shout out to our coaches Felipe and Italo and Graciela, who are amazing coaches at what they do.
Heck
But
yeah.
learning that from my last fight, you have to kind of get a reality check and know that you come from this side of the stand-up world, boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai, and you're beating people up. That in reality, mixed martial arts is a whole different world once you're in the game, in the
Totally
ground. So it's
different.
like, oh, so that really humbled me in the sense of I want to get better, and I ended up being in Ohio. Took some fights out there, redeemed myself, learned a bit more, about myself because I wanted to go into a place that had better people than me, and I want to be able to outgrow. And I think that the move to Ohio was one of the things that helped me understand something about myself, where I'm a new person, completely a student of the game, and where I'm surrounded by with wrestlers and people that could elevate you was really where it helped me develop my game a little bit more and
Nice.
get a little bit more respect and understanding of MMA.
Heck yeah. Nice. The next question I have, where did you start this journey in this field?
Where so I started in Washington Heights boxing gym when I was 13 years old. So I started there because I was not a good baseball player. Typical life story of a Dominican, growing up in Washington
Yeah.
Heights. You want to be either a Dominican baseball player to get the millions, or
Yeah.
you pursue different paths in your career. And I realized I'm not a great baseball player, so decided to pursue it in boxing. So I was very lucky to have my sister, put me in boxing and help me understand a different type of talent that I had and an eye for. So that started my whole love for the combat sport.
Heck yeah. Nice. The next question I have, how did you get your first opportunity in this career?
Um,
And that can be from,
where my boxing gym actually.
heck yeah,
So
okay.
my boxing gym actually started like as I got through ranks and started boxing myself and competitively amateurly. Um, I started basically helping people in the gym, and that's kind of like where the coaching path kind of started, and then just developed from there to the next stages, developing into the kickboxing side, and then slowly but surely growing to the MMA side.
Holla, I'll take that. I'll take that. We're doing good. I like these. I like this. It's good. You guys will not understand the reset that we had.
It's all good. It's all
So I
good.
appreciate this guy's patient here. Um, the next question I have is, why did you choose this career?
I think it honestly showed me a bit about more about myself, understanding that I'm not selfish, and I think that it's super important that giving back to others, whether it's like I've had a lucky opportunity that, especially when I grew up, where especially financially, things were really tight. I had good people around me to show me that pay it forward, and they were able to give me breaks on the gym when things were tough, and I'm able to supply that for others who you know financially could be a little bit tough as a youth, because I was once in their shoes. And I think that provided a way for me to understand that it's just much bigger than money at the end of it. I'm not going to go to
Yeah,
the grave with these millions of dollars. I'm going to the grave with these awesome memories and awesome people that I've met in my life, and what I've done for the youngians and whoever it was in need, in spirit and path.
that's kind of why I was telling you about Mr. Cornerbird. Like, you want to take advantage as much as you can because you know that you might not get. A lot of people don't have this opportunity. I started to notice the more the opportunity I was in the opportunity.
Right.
So I started realizing that I definitely took advantage more, and respected the sport more, and just that's when I started learning the background. Um, you learn when someone's trying to help you, just give it your all. I just remember the last thing you want to think after leaving the mats is I left it all on the mats.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Heck
Yeah, that's
yeah.
so true.
The next question I have is, ooh, this is a good question.
Mm.
What has been your biggest challenge since starting this career?
Mm. The financial aspect, honestly, because financially, you're not gonna be rich coach. And I think that a lot of people get into this for the selfish reasons of their ego getting in the way and thinking that I'm gonna create this next John Jones or this next Francis Ngannou. And honestly, it's just sometimes it's just not like that. what you have to constantly remind yourself. And what I constantly try to do is be grateful every day that I'm able to wake up and be able to do this as a passion and love this and come in every day very grateful to God to be able to do something I love and see the smiles and share the great energy with people.
Heck
But
yeah.
financially is just not, if you're looking to be rich in this, it's not going to be that. Can it come? 100%. You have to kind of show your patience for it. Optimistic all the way through. You stick with it. I don't see how not you'll get rich later on in life, but rich, quick schemes just never kind of
Never
work.
last
Don't fall
long.
for it for the money either when it comes to this. It's just, it's a lot of sacrifices that you have to make and just enjoy the process of it, you know? And honestly, too, in the process of it, too, you have to be smart because financially, you may not be able to make it at the moment, but you have to do other things that you pivot towards the business that helps secure financially, you know, the gym and your goals too as well. You know, I think also learning, you know, with the hardships that you have to be smart too, you know, because I also know that uh, money's not evil. It's just the way you use money as a tool. You know, I want to be able to grow more gyms and provide more of a space for more people and, you know, create a
Understandable.
safe haven for people where they come into this, you know, place that they call a temple and, you know, feel great, you know, because I want to repay them back with energy. So I know that you have to be smart in both ways, you know.
I
So
think that
financially, you want to be able to, you know,
it's genuine.
yes, and be educated on it because if you do financially do well, you could do more things, you know, that
Branching off.
help exactly extend the energy
Heck
elsewhere.
yeah. Uh, I like this. I like this. I'll take these. The next question I have. Ooh, this is a cool one. What's one piece of advice that you'll give to someone starting out in your career?
So if it's fighting, I would definitely say take your time. Don't rush it. A lot of people tend to rush it and think that I want to turn pro. It's not like that. It's not that rainbow and sunshine, you know. And
Because you sound like Mr. Quarterbird. I want to be like,
you
I want
know,
to fight.
just be patient. You know, keep
Heck
developing your
yeah.
skill, keep learning everything you can. It's gonna when the time comes, it'll come right. You know, but
Facts.
you have to really gain so much experience, just like anything else. It's like you don't become a CEO overnight.
Overnight.
You know, you become that CEO through your hardships. You work your way up to the top. So I think with the experience in amateur level, gain as many experiences as you can: boxing, kickboxing, MMA, wrestling, jiu-jitsu tournaments. Because I personally know guys that come from other parts of the world and the countries, and there's have 100 fights, 100 competitions before they even turn pro, and they are killers. So the best advice I suggest is just get that experience all the way through, and you'll
Uh,
see.
Here's a cool question coming from experience. I want to ask, where would you say someone should start at what martial arts? Jiu-jitsu, boxing, or
If it's MMA, wrestling, no doubt.
you did say that, yeah.
Wrestling, I say wrestling.
But
Wrestling is
that's
number
something
one.
you gotta get in college. That's
Yeah,
hard to get it after
that's
school.
one of the things that we try to, and I understand with New York City is super hard because that's the reason why I left, New York, because there wasn't really no wrestling here. And,
Yeah,
at least in Ohio, you get some good Ohio State
that's
wrestlers or
true.
mixers of different people who have that mindset. But in here, like you wanna try to find a good wrestling base, and it doesn't have to be crazy, and not wrestling that you're gonna be NCAA. I'm just like learning a good base of solid wrestling to be able to transition to MMA. It would solidly help you. But if I had to choose, honestly, two, one is wrestling, but definitely boxing. I think it just
Hmm,
complements each other super well. And
that's
nothing
cool.
against other sports like kickboxing, Dutch kickboxing, Muay Thai. It has its purpose and it has its moments because you could, styles makes fights, but I think wrestling and boxing such a solid foundation that their footwork system follows well together, and it's just powerful, when you
Heck yeah.
combine it together.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Everything else is easy after that, especially jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu comes easier once you wrestle.
You said it comes easier once you learn it.
Oh, once you
Yeah,
wrestle. Once you wrestle first, jiu-jitsu becomes so much
I
easier.
did jujitsu and then I ran into a wrestler and then I found out.
Yeah, no, it's
And then I
completely
definitely
different.
found out how different they're the same, but they're different. It's the
Yeah.
weirdest
You
shit.
just these are my guys, like wrestling background, and now they look like jujitsu artists, and they could wrestle. They could know how to do a switch. It's insane.
Because any jujitsu guy that I feel like I've been around them enough. They'll be lying to you if they feel like if they don't say the most annoying fighters are the wrestlers.
It's it do be like
So
that.
it's just when I noticed when I got to the guy, their grip strength is different. They're used to just going straight forward. Jiu-jitsu, everyone's just like twirling around and trying
Yeah.
to get something. Not the two. The next question I have is hmm. Oh, we did that one. Heck yeah. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Hmm. Good question.
Right?
Hopefully, honestly, would like to have more of these gyms open up more. But the way I see it is not in my own self. I want to be able to open this up more with, the coaches, the fighters, have them part of the business, because as fighters, it's one of the things that you have that you treat this in a way as a business is going to help tenfold. It's going to help you pretty much grow your assets in terms of not having to worry about bills being paid and things like that. So I want to be able to have something, a space where in 5 years, I could collaborate with my guys and teach them the side of the
That's
business,
smart.
teach them blueprint, because I know financially I was on that side where I was just like, oh man, this is hard,
Would you say that involves more seminars, right?
Not even
Or
seminars, just more of just like knowledge and education based, but also not everybody can be a business person too. It's
well,
just
sorry, I should have said not to interrupt you. The bigger space will bring more attraction for seminars,
uh,
essentially helping in the long run. I would think.
somehow, some way, but also just the bigger, the more the space, the more the message gets across. Our message,
Hmm.
being able to have that unity and the, uh,
Yeah,
you know, energy wise, because I think one thing that I don't sell memberships, I sell energy. That's one thing I portray
I
myself
like
on.
that.
I think sometimes people come out of work and they're like, oh man, I need a place to go to that I feel safe, I feel good, I'm gonna learn something, I'm gonna be in a place that like-minded people.
Heck
And
yeah.
I feel that this is what I want to continue to provide for others. But for me to be able to have other people along, I need to see who in my team can also have that same energy. I don't believe in selfish things. If that's the case, then there's the door.
What did I say when I first met you? I was like, that ego, you learn real quick, leave it at the door.
Oh, dude, there's
That's
that's
hilarious.
it, bro.
Everything is just like, leave it at the door.
Yeah,
We don't want to hear it.
hundred
Uh,
percent.
what's crazy? That was actually the last question, but there's five bonus
Yeah.
questions that are specifically for MMA or professional UFC fighters of any sort. The bonus question is, oh, but that's in the first one. But actually no. Ah, how did you get started in MMA?
So in MMA, I remember training in Muay Thai, and I had a great jiu-jitsu coach, John Negron, who really helped develop the ground game for me. But slowly realizing that I was not prepared in the wrestling side, and I needed more of a better base in wrestling. I just started with that first in MMA, with John Negron, and then having a stand-up background, I thought that that's gonna be the thing that complements each other.
Yeah,
Because back then it's literally styles makes fights. So you have a guy who's good at jiu-jitsu and good at wrestling. Nowadays it's
that's
like,
it. Yeah,
nope, this guy's good at stand-up and he's good at wrestling and he's good at jiu-jitsu.
and
So we
that's
didn't
what
have that
happened.
intertwined. So back then we were just like, oh, okay, this is gonna be the style. You already have this boxing style. Now you just got to implement the jiu-jitsu MMA component into it, and you're like, okay, you adding those pieces together, but once it goes in there, you're like, oh wow, your footwork is different, the environment is different, all these things.
I was telling your guys that the last guy I was watching was the Frank Mir and then Brock Lesnar, and then John Jones came, and then that's when like those slender guys just started like going crazy. But from my coach around that era, that's when he was putting me through all those different classes. He wouldn't let me fight yet at all. He's just
Mm-hmm.
I was so eager, but he would just be like, just come back. But I did notice there wasn't a lot of guys my height and so slender at that time.
Yeah.
It was mostly like the bulkier guys that look like Brock Lesnar or Rampage Jackson and stuff like that. The next question, before I get lost on that one.
Sorry.
No, you're
Just here.
Gucci.
Go, sorry, Bobby. 2 miles.
Heck yeah, that's raw. I
Yeah,
like
that's it.
that.
2 mile run.
Those runs are some.
Oh, it gets
Excuse my
worse because
language. Are
now we go
crap.
5, 3, 4, and then I'm testing them out every mile. They have to go run it at a certain mile, like pace. So it's good they start now slow and in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cold too, because he trains himself to be able to have that mindset.
Uh, Syracuse, New York. I moved on the outskirts, and I had to get ready for a tournament in Pennsylvania. It was snowing bad. ACGs and like 3 pairs of socks and like 2 pairs of sweatpants and long johns and like 2 hoodies, champion hoodies, and just did a one block around.
Yeah,
Nothing crazy,
I
just
don't
one
know.
block around.
Syracuse is so cold, man.
It's just a long block because there's no sidewalks, so you're running through the snow, and it's like probably like this thick. But these guys got to run through this water, so
Yeah, no, make
good
them
luck to
run.
them.
Yeah.
uh, Next question. I do not miss that at all. Good old days. Um, ooh, what's your favorite fighting style, striking or grappling?
Given my striking background, I definitely have to say striking. I prefer the striking, just as nice art and there's movements to it,
Heck yeah.
But I do appreciate the grappling side of it as well. I think that's another form of art. A lot of people who don't know the education of it is like they find it boring once they're in the ground because they want to see a lot of knockouts, but you know, it's a
Yeah,
whole different control and the way they control the limbs and the way that you know body to body connection is. So, but honestly, I'm just striking more than anything. That's
I'll
my
take
that's
that.
my thing, especially boxing.
That was actually a pretty good question. These are bonus questions, by the way, that
Yeah,
I
I know. It's good.
I randomly just thought like I actually searched these ones up to see